Welcome to the Media Nerds Podcast. I'm Dan Vedebonker.
And I'm Kenton Larson.
And this is our first episode of the new year. Welcome back. We've already done this.
Happy New Year.
We did this already on Star Wars. We don't need to do it again.
Did we say Happy New Year?
I think so.
Okay, Happy New Year.
Okay, there you go.
I said it again.
And
that's how much I care about you.
And we're back at work here at the college. Lots of fun stuff happening in class, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, we've started the week with a bang, and just like every semester, nothing happens, but I'm exhausted.
Exactly. So today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about FanQuest. FanQuest is a new convention that we are starting here in Winnipeg, and I'm going to talk.
You have spearheaded it,
and you're involved in it as well. But you're helping us out with some of the stuff.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was kind of my initiative, and I brought together a group of people that are all very passionate about this stuff, and we're actually doing some great work. So we're going to talk about that. But first, of course, let's get into the nerd news. Nerd News is sponsored by FanQuest, a fan convention coming to Winnipeg. Go to fanquestcon.com for more information. Okay, so first up in the Nerd News this week, you may have heard of this already, Kenton, but Conan O'Brien is going to be a weekly show, apparently. This came out of, where is it here? It was announced at CES this week. Have you heard this?
What part of it? He's going to do something. Sorry, tell me.
Okay.
I think I heard this.
Ahead of me. No, okay, so what it is that one of the producers from TBS said that they're I don't know that they confirmed it, but they're certainly looking at taking Conan down from it's a 4-night-a-week show. They don't do a Friday show. They never did. They always did for 4 nights a week. So they're going from 4 nights a week to a weekly show. So it'll just be 1 week, one show a week, probably still an hour. But I'm imagining it's going to be more pre-produced segments like they do when he goes away. He goes on trips to all over the world, and those are by far his best shows.
Yeah.
And we neglected to mention this in our end of the year wrap up, but I thought that I should have given Conan O'Brien an honorable mention because of his globetrotting segments where he went to Cuba. He recently came back from Berlin, and he's been to Korea. I think all last year. He went to all 3 of those places last year, and all 3 of those specials were hilarious. Very, very funny. That seems to be what he does best now.
You know what? I did hear about this, and I had 2 thoughts. The first is I love it because he is best at the pre-produced segments. But is this a come down?
Well, I mean, from is this a step down from him?
Yeah. Well, is this a demotion?
I don't know. Is he going to be paid the same?
I don't know. And the other thought that crossed my mind was Letterman, when he retired, said he might have been interested in a once a week kind of deal.
Oh, really?
With CBS, but it never got offered to him.
Okay.
And so he ended up just leaving. But would this bring Dave back into the fold? Maybe on a weekly show. They'd never bring him back to compete with Colbert, of course not. Who's doing Letterman's old job. But I saw it as maybe could this be that we could get Dave back for an hour a week.
You just want to see David back.
I want him back.
Yes, I know you do.
I think we need him in the era of Trump.
That would be hilarious.
Yeah,
yes,
I think it'd be very.
I think he can say that when Trump started running for president, he was like he wished that he was back on the air.
Yeah,
to make fun of him.
And I wish he was too.
I think that I don't know that I would take it as a demotion from Conan's point of view, although he might because he's a very old school kind of late night kind of guy. He's been around for a long time, but in this era of like weekly late night talk shows, last week tonight, Samantha Bee, there are all these newer shows out there now that they're great. They're on once a week, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
The late night slog is getting so full now, and I never have time to really watch any of these shows anymore. And mainly they're just there to populate YouTube with funny clips. So I don't know that. I don't know if I would. Consider this a demotion or not. I will watch it. I will absolutely watch it.
The day they announced this, I saw lots of jokes on Twitter about, Fallon's show should be like about 10 minutes a week.
Yes,
Cut it down to the best moments of the show, all 10 minutes.
Yes. I don't know. Maybe this is an indication of where late night is going.
Well, I mean, Conan vanished off the radar.
Right.
For the last, I don't know. Even with the big stunts, he's not a top of mind. Moving to the network that's hard to find.
Yeah.
That isn't top of mind, that people don't think about every day, kind of took him out of the loop, and so it takes a lot to get him back on the radar. This has to be, this had to have been a long discussion and consultation and decision, and I'm interested. he had the Tonight Show. Remember, he had the Tonight Show. So this is like
It's
going,
all a demotion from there, right? Is that
this is like I was on the Tonight Show and now I'm doing Kenny versus Spenny.
Yeah,
it's like a little bit of that. Like
I saw some of the numbers that were in this article I was reading. You know,
Yeah.
he gets on average like 600,000 viewers a night, which is like the population of Winnipeg. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it's not a lot in the grand scheme of things. And although I mean, even Fallon's numbers are like I think 4 million or 5 million or something. So the numbers aren't great overall as far as late night numbers go. But anyway, I think it's an interesting idea. And certainly I'm looking forward to more bits of him going to different places. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, and I might be more inclined. Like right now I watch no Conan.
Yeah.
Now I might be inclined to watch an hour of Conan.
And the other pre-produced bits are the Clueless Gamer thing he does is really funny. So he has a lot of really funny regular things he does that are all pre-produced. So none of the live in-show stuff that he usually does. So maybe no more band, Jimmy Vivino or whatever. Maybe no more Andy Richter. That might be gone. No more Masturbating Bear. No more Triumph, the insult coming.
Maybe I won't be watching it then. If all of this stuff is going to be gone.
I don't know.
I love Andy Richter. Maybe I might be the last.
No.
Am I the last person who likes Andy Richter?
No,
I say keep Andy.
He's
Richter.
very nice. He's very nice. And I always, mourn the death of Andy Richter Controls the Universe. That was a great show that was not given its due on Fox back in the day. So no, Andy's a good guy, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens here.
Yeah.
Sure.
When does it start?
There's no official start time to this. So maybe next season. To look at it. So.
And meanwhile, Jimmy Kimmel's going to host the Oscars.
Yes, that's right. And we'll talk about that in a future show.
Yeah, but this is very the fortunes of those two. Probably I would have predicted the exact opposite. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's an odd set of circumstances that brought them.
Oh, didn't Conan host something? What did he host? The Oscars, the Emmys?
The Emmys.
Oh, not as big of a deal.
Not as big of a deal.
Okay.
But then Kimmel did the Emmys and knocked it out of the park, and that's what landed him the Oscars job. So I mean, to me, it's very interesting to see how the fortunes, and especially in the era of the media landscape in which we live, which is, am I a YouTube star, am I a TV star? Like, what am I supposed to be doing here?
Exactly.
And these are sort of pioneers of that,
Yeah.
of late night TV and online channels. So very interesting to see how this is all going to play out.
Absolutely. Next story, Norway will become the first country to switch off FM radio later this year. And it's very funny. They're actually switching over to a digital broadcast service. So it's going to be a digital signal. And in order to receive it, you have to have a special digital receiver, just like they did for TV here. So this happened a few years ago in Canada where they switched TV over from an analog to a digital. And I worked for a television channel at the time. And I tell you, the calls we had coming in from people who were confused about what was going on.
How old were they?
Pretty old.
Yes, that's what I thought.
Pretty old.
Yes. Correct.
So anyway, so what's happening in Norway is they've gone ahead and decided to make this decision to switch off FM, despite 66% of the country being against it, and despite 2 million cars on the road who do not have the proper receiver. So a little bit ahead of themselves here, but it's an interesting idea, the fact that they're actually going to go ahead and switch off FM radio. And I thought about like what would happen here in Canada if they did that. That would be a disaster. It'd be killing FM.
Would it be?
I don't know. Would it?
Well,
would it really? Like
my last name's Larson, E-N, so I agree with anything that Norway comes up with.
There you
By
go.
definition,
Right.
I have to
Yeah.
because of my last name.
Right.
But this week I had students filling out their media consumption form.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah,
right at
yeah.
the last minute, I realized I left video games off. Wait till next year.
Okay.
So anyway, I got them to fill it all out, and I asked each class, is radio dead for young people? Come on, be honest with me. Is it dead for you? And no, I was surprised at the number of people who had something to say about what's my favorite station and what's my least favorite station, which
Okay.
is what I asked them. So they had something to say there. It wasn't just blank or not applicable. Some people wrote not applicable next to things, next to certain media that they just don't. I don't know.
Newspapers.
I don't feel anything about this. Do I include print? I don't even know if I call
Okay.
it print. I call it website maybe. But in any case, so it does still have an impact on young people, young and old people. But I don't know. Me personally, it would not affect my life in any way if there was no FM radio.
I think, I mean, I'm a radio instructor here at the college, so I kind of have to support it. But I just think about the current.
But there's all kinds of radio.
Well, there is, but the way that the radio industry is even just the way they're adapting to this new media landscape of the internet, and how do they adapt to how do they present radio on the internet? That's still a big problem for them.
It is.
They don't understand how to do it. They also don't understand how to make money from it. So if we were to like impose this change on them like next year, I think they'd be struggling. I think they'd have a hard time with it. So I mean, mean, we know what's coming. And in the article here on CBC says that other countries in Europe are considering it as well. So it's going to be happening over there before it happens here. I think part of it has to do with signal strength. Norway has a lot of fjords and mountains. So
I've done a lot of pining for the fjords in my time. They have fjords. Oh, and they also have a great show on Netflix called Nobel.
Oh, okay.
Have you seen it?
No, I have not.
It's my favorite Norway show.
Oh, there you go.
I think it's the only one I've ever watched. Okay. It's my favorite.
So there you go. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out.
Yeah.
Over there, and I don't know how strong of a radio industry they have there, or how it's different from ours. But certainly, I just thought it was worth mentioning that they are getting rid of the FM. You think it'd be the AM, right? Let's get rid of the AM, but it's probably already been gone there for a long time. So
I was just about to ask you what's the population of Norway, and then I thought about it and I was like, why would you know that? So I don't know. What is how big a market are we talking about here for radio? I have
no idea. I don't really know. Okay, well, we'll look it up.
Not many, I'm guessing.
No, not nearly as many as Canada for sure. And the final nerd news story this week, Chucky 7 is coming to Winnipeg. Sorry, say that again.
There's lots of unanswered questions from Chucky 1 to 6.
Is there really?
Yeah.
Like what?
How come he keeps coming back to life?
It's a magic doll.
Unanswered question.
It's a magic doll, Kent, and they can't really...
Was it a magical wish he made with a movie ticket?
I don't remember, actually. And I think I've seen the original Chucky pretty... I want to say I've seen it in the last few years, but I don't remember. Oh, no. It's the soul of a serial killer possesses the doll. That's what the original Chucky was.
Right.
And I didn't know this, but actually the voice of Chucky is Brad Dourif. Do you know who that is?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. So and anybody, you just can Google him to find out, but you certainly would recognize Brad Dourif. He's been in a million things. He's been in Dune. He was in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
He was all kinds of characters. He's a great character actor, and he does do the voice of Chucky. I don't know if he's going to be back. This article isn't saying so, but it says his daughter is Fiona Dourif, and she will be in the movie. She'll be reprising her role from Chucky 6 as Nika Pierce. And it says Chucky successfully framed Nika for the murder of her own family, and the story picks up from there. So we'll see what happens. The other thing I'll say about this is Fiona Dourif is also in Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency, which is now on Netflix, and she's excellent in that show. She's so good in that. It's funny. She must have signed the contract for this before she did. I think this will be her last Child's Play movie, given that she's now in the spotlight with Dirk Gently, and she'll go on to great things, I think.
Am I mistaken, or was Jennifer Tilly in town shooting another Chucky movie like years ago?
That's what I said. Chucky 6. Yeah, they did shoot that here, too.
So 6 and sorry,
Yes.
You said that?
Yes.
Chucky 6 and 7
Yes.
were shot in Winnipeg.
Yes.
Okay, so when a movie franchise gets weak, it comes to Winnipeg. Is that what happens? So Star Wars Chapter 36 will be shot in Winnipeg.
Who's to say it's weak? Some people love the Child's Play series.
Do they love it?
I don't know.
I will say this. Red River Bookshop, not Red River College Bookshop, but there's a little bookstore down the street from where we are, and it's like the classic Canadian bookstore with just like dumb, like, I'm a hoarder or do I run a bookstore? I'm not sure which one. I don't know what I have going on here. They have had in that bookstore the life-size Chucky doll for sale behind the counter where you buy your books. They've had him sitting there for probably 5 years.
Oh, yeah.
Now, and it looks like either A, he's not for sale, or B, nobody has elected to purchase him.
Depends on what he's priced at, I imagine.
They shot 6 and 7 here. Shouldn't that be a hot item?
You'd think so, but maybe not. I don't know. Maybe you're right. But anyway, if you see any filming trucks around the city in the next little while, that's probably what you're seeing is they're shooting what's it called here? It's called The Cult of Chucky. Is it
the
film.
cult?
The Cult of Chucky.
Oh, is it people who worship Chucky?
I guess so.
I like that already. That's good.
Before that, it was called The Curse of Chucky and The Seed of Chucky. So they're not even doing numbers really anymore. It's always a something of Chucky. So I don't know. I mean, I've not seen this for a long time, but I might check it out. I always like to look at movies filmed in Winnipeg because I look for the familiar scenery. You know what I mean? Goon is a great film because I recognize every single location in that film. And
I actually like that movie.
It's a very good movie anyway, but I do love it that it's just so Winnipeg. Like so much of that film is obviously Winnipeg, and I love it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I had another thought about Chucky there for a second. Oh, yeah, I just had a brainwave while you were naming the names of Chucky.
Yeah.
That what about Chucky on an island with a volleyball? And then at the end of the movie, this could be good.
Okay.
And so you see just what he does when he's by himself. Like there's nobody to really attack or anything. But then he gets off the island, just like Tom Hanks did in a similar film. Gets off the island and at the end makes it to shore. It'd be like the money shot in Force Awakens, where you just go, oh, now it's going to get good, and then they fade to black. And then no, you gotta wait. You gotta wait.
Yeah,
Like I think
that'd
they
be
need.
interesting.
Yeah, I think they need to give us. They need to change it up and give us a different style.
Or they could
of
just do
movie.
Chucky in space. I don't know if they've done that yet.
Well,
that was always a given thing.
Friday the 13th did it.
That's my favorite Friday the 13th.
I never
movie.
saw it.
It's my.
Jason in space.
It's by far my favorite Friday the 13th movie.
Is it actually good?
Well, it's bad, but they know it. Like it's kind of camp for the sake of. It's really funny, and you get to see David Cronenberg's in it as well, which is great.
No way.
Yeah, he has a little cameo in it. Like it's just, I think it's fun, and they know it. They have fun with the fact that it's a cheesy horror movie, and I quite enjoy it. I mean, the other ones take themselves a little too seriously. I think of those Friday the 13th movies. This is more of a funny camp kind of a thing. So
I have not seen a Chucky movie in years.
No.
Are they funny now? Are they just
I don't
going
know.
for the humor? I don't know either.
anyway, there
Am
you
I
go.
gonna have to watch one?
Probably. Let's do that.
Oh, maybe the one they're shooting
That's
now.
right. Let's do that. We'll
Yeah,
watch it when it
okay.
comes out. Okay. Time for recommendations. What do you got?
I got a good one. I promised. I threatened before the new year that I was going to watch Ricky Gervais,
Yes.
David Brent, Life on the Road.
Yeah.
And sure enough, it came in the mail like at the last second before the holiday weekend.
Okay.
Hit. It arrived in the mail, and I was like, "Oh, right." And that particular day, I happened to get hit in the head with an icicle.
Oh.
Believe it or not, an icicle. I was knocking icicles down.
Did you poke your eye
And
out?
one of them, I wish I did. then I
broke your-
wouldn't be at work. It's just the right kind of injury.
Right.
Just keep me away from work, but I can still do stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
But so that I was feeling it was my own fault. I was knocking icicles off the and one hit me in the head, in the side of the head. And I was like, oh, today sucks. But then it showed up in the mail. I was like, today doesn't suck. Today's the best day ever. So I watched the movie. It's going to be on Netflix next month, I think. David Brent, Life on the Road. It's Ricky Gervais' character from The Office. And the premise is he's going to cash in his pension plan to take his music on the road, on tour. And so he does so. And it is, I just love the character much.
It's a great character. It is Ricky Gervais. Like it does.
Yeah.
You so identify Ricky Gervais with that character because it was his first big time character. And basically everything else, other than Derek, everything else he's done is really like kind of an iteration of that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, there's similarities.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. And in this particular one, and I can be nitpicky about David Brent, Life on the Road if I want to. And there's a couple things in there I'd go, well, I might do that different or I might do that different.
Right.
But overall, I really like the movie. It's got the cringe. There's lots of cringing time. And then we were like, no, I hope he doesn't. And then he does it. And you're like, oh, you're gonna like, oh, you feel so embarrassed for the poor guy.
Yeah.
And then other times just outright funny. And then the surprise for me was there's a very touching, nice stuff that happens in the film. And there's even a Christmas element to the film where, had we done the Countdown podcast later, I might have recommended that as one of my favorite Christmas films.
There you go.
Little nice Christmas theme that runs through that. There's some great added features. Ricky Gervais on the DVD. I have an all regions DVD player, which is how I watched it. And I didn't download it illegally, which I could have done. I paid for it. Oh, and by the way, I tweeted it, and I said, more exciting than Star Wars is David Brent, Life on the Road. And I tagged Ricky Gervais on it, and he favorited it.
Oh, that's
so
nice.
I finally got a Ricky Gervais favorite.
Oh, there you go.
Out of
That
the
makes
thing.
it.
I really liked the movie. There's nobody from The Office in the movie other than Ricky Gervais, but I think if you like his character in The Office, you pretty much have to see this movie.
I think if you like Ricky Gervais, even if you haven't seen his version of The Office, you
Yeah.
probably still would like it.
And
right?
I think this character is ripe for even more sequels down the road.
Is this the first time he's done anything with him since The Office?
He did. You know how comic relief is so big in the UK. You get special. James Corden did carpool karaoke with George Michael for that.
Yeah.
So he did one episode of. That's where he got the idea for the movie, where he did this little short feature about David Brent recording his music.
Oh, okay.
And so some of the people that were in that short are in the movie.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I recommend it. It's going to be on Netflix next month. I really enjoyed it, and I think people are going to be surprised.
I will quite enjoy watching that.
People will be surprised. People, even people who don't like his humor, will be surprised at the message that goes with the movie.
Okay, cool.
How about you?
My recommendation, I've already mentioned it once in this podcast. It is Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency. I finished watching the series, first season of it. It's 8 episodes, so it's not... 8 episodes. Yeah, 8 episodes, so it's not a huge time commitment.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it stars Fiona Dourif as this character called Bart. It's really, really well done. She is like the anti-Dirk Gently, which is really quite funny. Elijah Wood is in it. And I don't think there's a lot of other... the guy who plays Toby in The West Wing. I don't know his real name. You know what I'm talking about, though.
Who's Toby in the West Wing?
Toby. He's bald. And he's got the little beard.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah.
I didn't know his name was Toby.
No, well, in the West Wing is Toby. It's not real life.
That's what I mean.
I don't know his name.
I did not know that.
Anyway, he is in it. He's very good.
Yeah.
So it's quite. The great thing about it is that it does capture the essence of the books. Like those two books are my favorite Douglas Adams. I like it a little bit better than the Hitchhiker's Guide. I know Hitchhiker's Guide is obviously a great series as well, but I love the Dirk Gently books, and I read them at a young age. As a young teenager, I read those books, and I really, really loved them. What I love about this is that they don't just adapt the stories from the books. They take the characters and they put them in new situations. He makes a reference to one of the books in the story in the book where he gets involved with the thunder god Thor, which was quite funny in the book, but also in the TV show. And but it's really quite quirky, and it's got magic and science and all kinds of funny stuff involved in it. And it's really funny and really engaging. The storyline is really engaging. So I would really highly recommend Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency. It's really good.
Netflix has recommended it to me many times. I've seen it. I know exactly what you're talking about. I didn't know anything about it, so I will watch it.
It is good. And I would also, if you haven't read the books, check out the books. There's Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency and The Long Dark Tea Time of the Soul is the sequel. And again, I'm sure he would have, if Douglas Adams had lived a longer life, he would have written more of those books. But really, really good books and great TV series.
Very cool. Excellent recommendation.
And that's it for the Nerd News. Follow us on Twitter at nerds_podcast or check out MediaNerdsPodcast.com for more information.